Okay, hey everybody. I'm going to get a little out here that I wrote on the 16th. Today is the 20th of February, 2026. And it's about Margaret, who is the wealthiest person in Victorson County, Texas. And she opened up some beachside properties. She basically runs for her sister. They're triplets, her sister and her brother. And they're, like I said, triplets, Pearl and Victor and herself. And they're people of a certain age. And she basically had opened up all these, she owns all the property, but pretty much all of it. And they do all together. They're the wealthiest family also. And well, things started happening. So along the beachside, they have, like a pier for just kind of regular restaurants and stores and shops and all that. And then they have some that are on the beachside called Beachside. And it's more expensive restaurants and all that. Well, some people got in their head, their heads, that they could ruin it. They really weren't after to ruin it. They were after for themselves to make videos and make negative statements and such about all the restaurants and the stores and everything that were opening up, because their audience just loved the drama, on the two social media platforms. Even though some of them were secretly silenced in per contract, they could do this. If somebody was too controversial with whatever it was, or they were doing things that were against the rules, they would give them warnings and all this. And then if it continued, eventually, there's a kind of like a strike three thing, and they would lose their contract. But what they did at first was they had never had situations like this. The people bad-mouthing businesses and and all these new businesses just to get money from their audience, because the audience loved the drama. From a town called, within the county, the town is called the Outlaws. There's another one called Hippie Town, but the Outlaws, many of them were, they just love that drama. Not only, but many. And they would pay the people to give, the people that were doing it were noticing the worse the review, the more money they made off their audience. So for selfish reason, they were basically practically ruining these businesses, new businesses, and new business owners were complaining to the elders over this kind of thing in Victorson County. They do everything by the law, but they have their own ways also. And it's the elders. It's been it's part of their culture since settlement, generations ago. Anyway, all this stuff going on, and Margaret had enough. Okay, and everybody got to that point when they started to find out more and more information about what was going on, getting more and more complaints. They'd had enough. So a lot of people got arrested, mainly for traffic violations, because many of these, if not all of them, really, were food delivery drivers, and they would make videos showing themselves doing traffic violations and things like parking in handicap parking spots, stuff like that, and just putting it on their video, putting it online. And I was saying, like, on one of them, there's two social media platforms that are specifically for the county, and one of them, they're more the good, decent people. The other one is called the Outcast Online. So, yeah. And what they did was they basically only allowed the people who were already watching them to watch them. And after a while, they weren't getting any new people watching them, and people who were watching them started seeing some, the repeat over and over and over again. They were basically, figuring it out that these were swindlers. These were, master manipulators, so on and so forth, e-beggars, digital panhandlers, charlatans, copycats, you get it, all this. And some of them were okay with it because they liked the drama. But the drama started, you know, how are they going to have drama if there's basically don't have anybody new? Okay. So, but on the other one, the Outcasts, they were able to do what they wanted to do. Oh, so much. It got to a point, it just was too much. And with the businesses complaining and all that. And plus, they weren't really having many food delivery people, because the businesses would ban them. If the businesses, you know, they had policy, they developed policies saying you can't video in our restaurant or store or whatever. These people kept trying to break the law, break the rules. They were above it all. They felt like that, and it got to where the stores even were by appointment only, and the restaurants had a you go into the restaurant and you're in a room, and only the hostess could let you in. And if the hostess was trained, who to let in and who not to, and they would just say, "We're sorry, we're," you know, make up something and not let them in, because these people were, you know, and some of them were just, you know, they become hostile because they weren't allowed. And some of them would dress really horribly. You know, some people would come in there distressed. Here it is, a nice, expensive restaurant, and they were dressed filthy. They smelled, stuff like that. Their hair was not unwashed. They were unkept. And the restaurants had a right to refuse service along the line of no shirt, no shoes, no service kind of thing. And I am not a person who knows about laws and how that works, so take that with a grain of salt. I could be totally wrong about all this, and probably am at some point, so don't take it as law, literally. Anyway, so Margaret was tired of it too. Woman of a certain age, wealthiest person in the county, and her family was the wealthiest family. She said that was it. She has plenty of money. And so these people, they were called the ruiners. They like in Victorson County to call things the this or the that, whatever it is. They come up with a word for it. You know, so it came down to these people getting arrested and or having fines, and they had to do community service and all this stuff. And that's just now getting started. And she really wanted to get things in order. So finally she can. Okay, so what she did, like I said, these elders generally run different things. They had elders who were the ones who were over the food delivery. They have elders who are over the law enforcement. They're not really over it. People have any questions or any whatever complaints, they go to the elders. And that's part of their culture there. People are okay with it because they feel that one day they're going to be elders too, and they want to be part of that too. Not everybody has to be if they want to be, and if they're vetted and they're okay, then that's what can happen, possibly. Anyway, so but Margaret, she had originally made a list of her own, because she has one of where the elders usually stay, and it's a ranch mansion. They have different ranch mansions in different towns in the county. It's a very wealthy county. Like I said, old money and plenty of it. And anyway, so she had a list, but as it turned out, the people, her sister had broken her hip. Pearl had broken her hip, and Margaret had to take care of her in her mansion. And meanwhile, Pearl's mansion that Margaret was having done was getting fixed to where Pearl could move into it. And well, the people that was with Margaret at the time that she had invited over, because she was thinking these would be good people for her to live in her mansion as the elders. And as it turned out, like I said, they got along. They were more like Pearl's type person. Pearl is kind of like, she's in it for fun. Okay, let's just put it that way. She's not very serious, and she's not very smart. Doesn't have great business sense. And so anyway, so I'm reading my notes here. But let's see. So anyway, people like Connie, she's in her, I think, 70s, and she's a person. She just tells it like it is. Like, she calls it as she sees it. You know, I prefer calls it as she sees it. But let's see. They all decided they would go. You know, and Margaret was okay with it. They would all go to Pearl. So Pearl had all of her elders already in place then. And so Margaret could finally work on hers. Who does she really want? Who should she have living under her roof? You know, and as the tradition is, the elders tend to pay. These are wealthy people. They tend to pay to live in these places. Margaret doesn't need any more money. And what usually happens is the money that they pay in goes toward things in the county. It goes into like young people in the county who were hired to do. There were some young people who were hired to do start learning law enforcement through Jim's law enforcement. He's a man of a certain age, and he also has this law enforcement that he developed himself, and is huge and really, really well known. And they want to start training these 4 people. 2 are twin females and 2 young males. They're all about the same age, in their early 20s, and that's what they paid them with. It was that kind of money. You know, they're really good at investing, by the way, and all this stuff. Really wealthy. Anyway, all these elders. Let's see. Like I say, they have different interests too. Okay. So anyway, and like I mentioned, they have their triplets. Their brother Victor, he just turned 60, and he decided he was going to go travel the world, and left them a note saying that's what he was going to do, and they haven't heard from him since. And he said, "Don't try to contact me. I'm going to be traveling the world." And they thought it was weird because they're triplets, and he said for his birthday, his 60th birthday, that's what he was going to do, and that's what he was doing. And they were triplets, and they've never said for my birthday. They always said for our birthday. It was just a little bit, but it was enough for them to question. Anyway, so she had time to work on this to get the elders at their respective new homes. And one of them, she had basically chosen at that point that she had ran across a woman named Jules and her husband Sherman, and they were very wealthy too, and they actually thought the idea was great to live in. They have their own huge home, but their daughter, she has half of it. That's what they wanted, and she's, I think, in her 30s or maybe 40 now, and they want her to get married, and I think she's in her mid-30s, and to finally settle down and have children, this kind of thing. And they thought, moving into this, to Margaret's mansion would be great, because they also have things like they have their own little clinic, and that little clinic can also be for people in that area. But in that home, they usually have like a clinic where the doctor comes 1 day a week or something like that. So, but the doctor could be for the area, the town, or whatever. Anyway, so she chose Jules and Sherman, and she's going to be working on seeing who else. And, everybody has choices in this. If they don't want to, they don't have to. Period. In any of them. And let's see. Let me see. What else? And then there was a woman. Some of them are young still. And one of them she's a Christian counselor and an actual LPC, licensed professional counselor. And I think she's in her mid-30s also. And just adopted a daughter. She may be closer to 40. And there's other ones, and they are already thinking about where are they going to go. And all of these are also one named Cyn, C-Y-N. She goes C-Y-N for Cynthia. She is probably going to go to Victor's mansion that's still being, because that's going to be the area for anything for criminal justice. Oh boy. As you heard it, my voice is going out, and that is enough. I've been out here for I don't know how long today, and you heard my voice just, it starts doing it as soon as I get out here, really. And I wanted to get some videos done today. I've got myself inside my SUV here, and the back windows Adam put up yesterday, or was it yesterday, day before yesterday? Some of those kinds of, I don't know what you call them, but they shade the windows in the back seat on the windows so nobody can see in, because I got so tired of nosy neighbors. I've been doing this for years. You'd think they'd stop, but they don't. And then I had a blanket. You get them at Dollar Tree. I was there the other day, and they're $6 now. They're just thin throws, you know. Had it on my visor, and I put the visor against the window on my driver's side, and now I got it on my passenger side. You know, I take them down when I drive, but I have a little towel on my visor on my driver's side, because I am really tired of nosy neighbors. If I were to tell the big stories about my neighbors, the stuff that they've done, you would say, I get it. I get it. You want some privacy for a change. It's none of their business. And some of the stuff is horrible. I mean, who do you think you are? Seriously. Yeah. And some of it, like I told Adam, it might not have anything to do with us at all. Well, two of them do have things to do with us, but the rest since then, yeah. Really. Okay, that's me trying to fool myself. They're bad. They're not bad people. They're just nosy. And one of them, I really think the woman has, she's paranoid. I think she's paranoid. Really, seriously. Her actions, just the way, overall, I think she is. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't diagnose. I mean, that's not a diagnosis. She just seems like she's, I would not recognize her in person. I just know her from a distance, but some of the things she does, it's a nice neighborhood, used to be. I mean, it's still nice, but it doesn't matter what kind of neighborhood when you have people like that. Anyway, wrapping it up because I'm losing my voice.